Everyone, welcome to a special edition of Pressing Questions. I am your host, Lee Sackett, and sitting across from me, I have Dan Sheridan on the call, the COO.
Dan, you're the COO of the company. What the hell are we doing here?
Come on, Mark. This show is for the people, man. Dan, can you tell the people a little bit about who you are and where you are?
Yeah, well, Lee, let me first say I think I'm going to be your most uninteresting guest ever. I've watched many of these episodes and highly entertaining. So hopefully you and I can keep the streak alive. But I've been with Brooks for over 20 years and been in many different roles through my career. I started as a tech rep, is what we called it back in 1998, and I've kind of worked mostly on the sales and general management side. And now I'm fortunate enough to be in a role where I kind of sit in the middle of the business and help the brand grow and expand across the globe.
People usually see Dan like the current leader that is Dan Sheridan, but I think a lot of people, especially maybe those new to the company, don't know that you've sat in many different seats, which is probably why you're so qualified to be in the position of leadership you are now. But I had a little bit of help developing these wanted because a lot of people wanted to see you grilled. They wanted the questions to be tough.
Lee, I told you this already. I'm the worst trivia player on the planet.
A little bit about the rules for those joining in for the first time. I'm going to ask Dan 5 questions. Every question that Dan gets correct, he gets closer to the prize, which is the majority of the questions correct. You're going to get a box of dried pasta, which recently we decided to, because nobody actually wants dried pasta, we've decided to consolidate all the people that have won dried pasta. All of their pasta will be going to a local food bank, which is positive. But if Dan gets 5 out of 5 questions correct, which is pretty rare on this thing, he's going to get a box of my favorite pens. For every question Dan gets wrong, he's going to have to take a lick of apple cider vinegar that he has brought today on Pressing Questions. There it is.
I am not looking forward to this. I am not looking forward to this.
Have you ever had it? It's pretty bad.
No, this is a first. It smells horrible. Just watching everybody take it looks horrible.
The only person that liked it was Ryan Price, which is fitting.
Of course.
That makes sense.
Of course.
Yeah, all right, Dan. Question 1. So, first off, this hits a little bit of the background for you. You went to school at UW in Seattle, Washington.
I did.
And if I remember correctly, you are a basketball fan. Is this true?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's true.
In summer of 1996, were you still in school or were you out of school?
So I had left school and was still finishing, so I wasn't on campus. But I remember summer of that year.
It had a big correlation to the NBA, which we're going to get at. I know that you got your BA in sociology, so I know you were plugged into the culture. Summer of '96 NBA championships that year were the Bulls, potentially the greatest team ever, versus the Sonics. You're
tracking with you.
You're in Seattle.
Yeah.
Name at least 4 of the maybe 5 to 6 starters, depending on the day, of the Sonics during the '96 NBA Finals.
All right. Well, the easiest one is Sean Kemp.
Correct.
Everybody. The next one is on my office in Seattle here. Gary Payton.
Yes.
So
Hall of
you got
Famer.
that one. Yep, Hall of Famer. You got Detlef Schrempf, a UW grad, right?
Yep,
that's 3.
correct.
I'm gonna go with Derek McKee, but I think Derek had left the team. Yeah, Hersey Hawkins, I think, was the shooting guard on that team. And let me see if I can round it out with Perkins. Yeah. Sam Perkins. Was he was the 5th? Did I do it?
That was
yeah.
You nailed that question. I am happy to take this shot of vinegar.
Love it, Lee. Oh, you, you swig it with such confidence.
After you got out of school, did you join up with Brooks as a tech rep right after that? Like, what was your journey to get to Bothell?
So I grew up in a family of educators. Both my parents were teachers, and I tell people this all the time. I went into the family business, so I was a high school teacher and a basketball coach before I started at Brooks, and so that was my pre-Brooks career.
And what did you teach, or what did you want to teach?
So I taught phys ed, and I taught history, and I taught English, actually. English kind of as a second language to a bunch of exchange students at the school I was at. It was great. I loved it.
You've been in the Pacific Northwest for a while. I'm going to share my screen here because question 2 is a matching question. I'm going to show you 4 photos of 4 different mountains in the Pacific Northwest. And then I'm going to give you 4 names, and you got to match them to the pictures. 4 peaks in the Pacific Northwest mountain range. Could be the Cascades, could be the Olympics. But to choose from, you have Mount Rainier, Mount Baker, Mount St. Helens, and Mount Adams. Which is which?
Okay. So you did a really good job of hiding a couple natural hints, but A is Mount St. Helens.
Correct. A is Mount St. Helens.
Okay. And so you had Mount Rainier, Mount Baker, and what was the other one?
Mount Rainier, Mount Baker, and Mount Adams.
Mount Adams. Okay. So Rainier is B.
Correct. Rainier is B. All right, 2 for 2. These next 2 are the tough ones, though. Adams and Baker.
Yeah. So I believe that D is Mount Baker and C is Mount Adams.
Final answer.
Yeah, that's my final answer.
You know what? You nailed it, except C was Mount Baker and D was Mount Adams.
I want to know what.
That'll wake
Wow.
you up. That'll wake you up.
That'll do it.
All right, Dan, you're still 1-1. That was a toughie. We're moving on to question 3. You're still doing great. You can still get the box of pasta. You got a lot of options left. So let's see here. Question 3. Now, one of these is a softball question. It's not this one. From the year 2000 to the year 2004, you were a key account sales manager at Brooks. If I remember correctly, you had left the tech rep or the rep position at the time, and then you moved. Did you move to Bothell? And what accounts did you work with?
So let's see. 2000, we were actually still in Bothell, and I was probably working with Galleon's Trading Company was my first account. East Bay. So I would fly to Wisconsin and go see East Bay. I would go to San Luis Obispo, California, which is maybe the greatest place on the planet, and call on Copeland Sports, which is no longer around. So there's 2 accounts already that are no longer around. Those were kind of my key accounts, and then any account that we sold closeouts to, I had as well.
Maybe the golden era of catalog sales with East Bay. I remember in that era, I always had an East Bay and a CCS, and I would make my mom order me skateboards from CCS, and then I would get basketball jerseys from East Bay. That's like how you got stuff when you were
totally, yeah.
From that era as well, the 2004 Summer Olympics. This is a tough question, man.
Wow.
The
This is probably coming from Matt Weiss or something like that. This is probably
you're close. That was a close guess. In 2004, the Summer Olympics were held in Athens, Greece. Kind of an homage to the originals per se. Now, during the Summer Olympics of 2004, there was a couple of new sports added to the list of Olympic sports. This is a multiple choice question. Which of the following sports was new to the Games in 2004? A, baseball. B, women's wrestling. C, high-speed rollerblading. Or D, male ribbon dancing.
So, Lee, I think this is. Don't you have phone a friend? Don't we have phone a friend on this?
You have one phone a friend available, Dan. So if this
One
is the
phone a
one,
friend. You know, if there's one person I would call that is an Olympic junkie, it's got to be my buddy Mark Mashevitz. Now, he wouldn't call me his buddy, but I would call him my friend. So
this is one. Yeah. This is one. So let me ask you this: Do you think Mark is on his computer? Should I send him the link to this room?
Why not? Let's try it. He doesn't work a lot.
Yeah, we could see him. Granted, he isn't on the golf course. We might nail it. Hang on.
Yeah. Yeah. He's probably in the middle. He's probably in the middle of an Ellen show. I think Ellen's on at 3:00. You don't call him between 3 and 4.
God forbid I have Mark Mashevitz's phone number.
It was delivered. We'll see if he pretends like he's not around.
Thought you lost his number.
Hey, check your inbox and hit the link. I need you right now. It's a hard.
What are you doing?
It's a hard question. This is your.
Is this for real?
Yeah.
Hold on. First of all, I didn't sign anything. I just heard the recording is on. This is not only weird, but it's also a weird way to get fired with Lee on the call.
Yeah, I've been saying that for like 3 months, Mark. And so he called on you because you're the most knowledgeable friend that he has.
I don't know. I don't think I said that, Lee. I didn't say knowledgeable.
I was trying to build up Mark's confidence going into this question. The year 2004. Do you remember where you were?
Mm-hmm.
Were you working for Brooks?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
What were you doing?
Probably selling something. Guru manager / team sales / sales manager.
Cool. All right. So you guys were in the same bubble, the same stratosphere.
Yeah.
Known each other for a long time. So in 2004, the Summer Olympics were held in Athens.
Oh, jeez.
Now, hang on. There was a couple new sports added to the Summer Olympics that year.
Oh.
Which of the following sports was new to the Summer Olympics in 2004? A, baseball. B, women's wrestling. C, high-speed rollerblading. Or D, male ribbon dance.
So here's my thought, Mark. Here's my thought. There's no such thing as men's ribbon dancing.
I've never even
Still,
heard of that.
Lee makes this stuff up. I've seen a few of these. He makes these up. I think baseball's been in there longer than 2004. So
why are we doing this?
It's so viewers can get to know a little bit about the faces behind the brand. Mark.
Can't I just look it up?
No, you can't look it up. Do not get on the internet right now.
I would have said baseball. It would have come down to baseball or the wrestling thing, but
Dan gets final say on the final answer. So Dan,
you know, I've always gone on Mark's judgment, except when I don't go on it. Yeah. And I think I'm gonna go women's wrestling, Lee.
Are we gonna hear the answer?
B, women's wrestling is absolutely correct. It was the new sport in 2004. Dan,
is this called?
Yes. Have you ever had this?
Oh yeah, I do it all the time. Delicious. Good for your soul.
I know you got stuff to do. Stick around. You can help them with this one too, because this one's tough. Ready? Question 4 for you both. In the early 2000s, Brooks developed green rubber as a groundbreaking shift in outsole shoe technology. Green rubber used blank instead of petroleum as its main resource in the composite. This is multiple choice. Green rubber is made with A, malploxamine, B, the chemical tantum, C, sand, or D, horsehair. Which of those ingredients was used instead of petroleum?
I know this one.
I don't have time for this.
You know. You know this. You know this. You know this. You would clinic those kids at sand.
Final answer?
He knows.
Lock it in.
Dan, you're
Lock it
nailing
in.
it. It is
Yeah.
sand and green rubber instead of petroleum.
I would have. I was waiting for him to say horsehair. That would have been fun to hear.
Yeah, I think it would be cooler as a brand if we used horsehair.
Dan, you're the COO of the company. What the hell are we doing here?
Come on, Mark. This show is for the people, man. It's for the people, Mark.
I feel
Yeah,
like
I
you guys
told
do
you
this
if
every
we call
Monday.
him between.
So the final thing I want to ask you guys, and this fifth question you will not get wrong because it is a softball question, and I think it'll be cool to hear from you both. Brooks has had some serious speed bumps 2 years in a row. We had the DC issues, and now we're trying to work with the kind of how the market is evolving and constantly changing because of the pandemic. How have we stayed on top, and what are you two doing and talking about to make sure this isn't the fall of Rome and the ending of an era?
You want to go first, Mark?
No, you go ahead. You're the leader. Is this a multiple choice question?
Well, Lee, I think like most problems at Brooks, in all seriousness, it starts with our people. We have a resiliency in our organization that I actually think comes from years and years of being the underdog in this industry. There is a fight and a competitive nature amongst our employee base that it just wins in times of adversity. And we've had them throughout the years. In the early 90s when Brooks was struggling before my time, this brand had resiliency. As we started to rebuild under Jim's leadership, that's resiliency, right? And so when we go into really hairy problems, whether that's major issues like the DC or this pandemic, I think the thing that I always think about is this. Characteristics of a good distance runner or a track athlete is toughness and resiliency, and freaking Brooks has it. It's what we have throughout our org, and I think that's what gets you through these things: smarts and intelligence and hard work and resiliency. So I don't know, Mark, what would you add?
I think definitely what you said makes total sense. I'd layer on, and the thing that I've been talking to my team about is that you really find out whether you have a strong strategy that you're building when you get to spots like this, because it really shows what you're made of right here and right now. And I think that the reason why we're seeing success and some momentum in the middle of this crisis is that we've had this long path of strategic initiatives that put us in a really good, smart spot. The leadership team from Dan to Jim, even in our space, Mike, Rick, we're all trying to charge towards the same beat. And I don't know, even a pandemic can't take us down.
Mark, you're pretty helpful. Dan was doing really good, but that second brain.
Helpful? What are you helpful? I went with the opposite answers every time.
That's right. That's how we work together.
Yeah, you needed his counterbalance, Dan. Appreciate it, you guys.